our show. This is Kelly Missed Out, which is a show where we talk about local and important podcasts that Kelly definitely should have heard about by now. So at that, I'll bring out my co-host, Kelly. What is your favorite color?
My favorite color. This is the best question I was hoping you were going to ask me when we were going to discuss the podcast, Emily Missed Out, which is, of course, the podcast we're talking about this week on this extremely high production quality TV show called Kelly Missed Out. So my favorite color is, I'm going to say, kind of like a cobalt, like basically the color of my eyes.
That's a good choice. It's a little vain to reference a color to yourself, but we'll let it slide. You're demanding to be on camera for a live show, so I guess we can expect that. Anyways, did you want to talk about the podcast that we're talking about today, or did you want to guess what it's about?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to guess what it's about. And I found that, so here's what I've noticed is really helpful when you want to guess what something's about, is just to listen to it first. That's what I did this time. I've already listened to it. And so I can guess very confidently that it's about movies that Emily has not seen, but should have by now.
Okay, that's a pretty terrific guess, and I guess that they would call that an educated guess. So, props to you for taking the initiative and educating yourself on that. Yeah,
Finished grade 9 after all. It's no small feat. So, I got to tell you, Nicole, I really loved this podcast because, as you know, I try to find a balance between kind of like fun, light podcasts and my extremely depressing genocide podcasts.
Yep.
And so this will slot nicely into the fun side because it's two women talking about movies, just kind of going through like IMDb lists, and it's kind of like listening to the Bechdel cast, except it doesn't make me feel guilty the whole time, which is a vastly improved experience. Yeah,
I do feel like probably as like a straight white dude, you should feel a little bit guilty all the time, but I'm not going to tell you how to live your life.
Yeah,
I'm not a straight white dude, so what right do I have to do that? I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I've also enjoyed listening to it. It does, to be honest, it does make me feel a little guilty at times because there's lots of movies that I've enjoyed, and seeing them through Emily's fully adult eyes makes me realize how problematic all of my favorite movies are. So it's a little disconcerting, but it's good.
So here's what I love about this is it lures you in with the promise of Emily has not seen any of these extremely popular movies. And what it hooks you with once you get into it is not only that, but Emily does not appear to have heard of any popular movies. And she doesn't appear to have heard of any famous actors. And it's really incredible because she has this sort of, I feel like at this point we've talked about them enough that we should just bring them out.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's bring out Emily and Brianne, hosts of Emily Missed Out.
All right, Nicole, last week Paige hummed their intro music, so if you want to do that, that'd be great.
Oh, welcome out, guys. How's it going? How was backstage for you? I hope they gave you the VIP treatment down there. You guys got all the caviar and the champagne and everything before the show.
Thank you for all the caviar backstage.
You know what? That's all courtesy of we stole it. So, are you doing?
Our intro music.
No. It's a little joke. A little bit. Welcome to the show.
So many welcomes. I feel very.
I want you to feel welcome, and I'm going to pay you a genuine compliment.
Okay.
So, is this fair to say, Nicole? Podcasting is an audio medium.
I would say so.
Right. And of course, we don't want to hold it against some other podcasters, but there is a certain talent to it, which is being able to create a visual picture when you're only being heard. And the talent I feel emanating from this podcast is that, Emily, you have a very audible blank stare. And so an interaction will go like this. Yeah, because it's really helping with the theater of the mind. So what I noticed,
I guess that is within the realm of our podcast.
What I notice when I'm listening to it is you'll be going through like the cast, and it's like, okay, so this movie stars Tom Hanks, blank stare. He was in popular movies like Forrest Gump, blank stare. He was in Castaway, blank stare. He was in Toy Story, blank stare, and so on for like 10 minutes. And yeah, I don't know. I just want to say, like, it's incredible. It's a lot of people could just make a podcast that's like, here's what movie, like, here's movies that we are going to watch that we haven't seen, which is like, who cares? But it's like, no, here's movies through the eyes of somebody that has never experienced pop culture in their life. Or, yeah, I don't know. Is that fair to say? I'll ask you.
I mean, I'm involved in pop culture that isn't movies.
Yeah.
But like I found, like, especially in the Netflix days, like I only watch TV shows by myself. I never watch movies by myself. Never. So for me to see a movie, someone has to make me watch it. Someone has to watch it with me and be like, hey, let's watch this movie.
And the fun part about that is because even if she's up on her pop culture for TV shows, she's missing all of the pop culture references within the TV shows.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I rewatch stuff and I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that was a reference to something.
Well, what I'm curious about, because there were a lot of times where it would be like, yeah, I've never heard of this. I'm like, how have you never heard of that? Like, have you never spoken to people? And then I thought, oh, I know what's going on. This is like in Memento, where she doesn't form new memories when she's watching TV, and
She hasn't seen Memento yet.
Yeah,
She's not
no.
going to get that reference.
so like instead of being the only way you can remember things being to tattoo them on your arm, so you're like, oh, that's who Christian Bale is.
Yeah.
You have this other way, which is you record it into a podcast, so that when you forget the movie the next day, you can listen back to the podcast and you're like, okay, now I remember what that is. That was my working theory
I think that's a good theory.
until I got to the episode where you said you were homeschooled, and I was like, oh, this tracks completely.
No, but my sister was also homeschooled
Yeah.
and has seen movies.
Was it like a and I'm sorry if you don't get this reference, but like a Harry Potter and Dudley situation where like your sister got all the like
No.
the movies and the access to stuff, and you had to live under the cupboard? Like that's why you just like have
I
never,
was just
you have no concept of who like Demi Moore is?
I actually do know who Demi Moore is. Surprisingly, I know a person. No, I was just like more into like reading books, playing video games. Yeah, just missed out on the movies somehow.
That's fucking weird. What's that like?
It's pretty cool. It's like a movie but in your head.
I knew that reference was coming.
Great. Okay, now I missed out.
awesome.
What is that a reference to?
Oh, no, I just like knew that was coming. It is like a movie, but in your head.
But in your head.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And then I also wrote a book, so that's fun too.
You
You wrote a book.
Yeah, I'm working on editing it right now, but I wrote a fantasy book and I want to self-publish it when it's done.
That's wonderful. Do you want to give us like a little blurb for it? Are you ready for that? Are you prepared?
Ooh, I feel like I'm really bad at describing things, which is not a great trait for a writer. But yeah, it's a fantasy book. It's about a girl who is her life is saved by the goddess of death, and she has to work for death in exchange for getting her life back, and gets to learn magic and try to save her mom from another crappy god that captured her.
That
That's
does sound
awesome.
intriguing. Well, see, okay, so I have my biases. I have said that I find fantasy can be very played out, which is why I really hope that the role-playing game we play later isn't fantasy. You know, we'll find out.
Yeah, you have no idea what our characters are, so
No, I have no
be ready
idea.
for that.
I have no idea what's going on, as anybody who has been watching the stream can tell. It's just absolute chaos.
it's what we call improv.
Yeah, that's right. You know, you can't script this shit, baby.
Heck no.
Absolute Chaos is actually a working title for this podcast for this show.
Why, or like, what is happening? See, so this is what's great about all these dice, David. It's just every time you piss me off, I can whip one at your head.
That was a good stop.
Well, he played volleyball.
You're gonna run
Right,
out of
where were we?
dice.
So we were talking about writing. Nicole, how is your writing coming along? How is your book coming?
Oh, are you writing a book too?
Yeah,
You mean?
that's exactly what she wanted to talk about tonight. She was like, I know they have a podcast and stuff, but can we kind of talk about my book for most of it? So like, go ahead, Nicole. Just
tell us about your book.
Yeah, we're happy to hear about it.
Oh boy. Kelly, you might not know this because you haven't written a novel before, but like asking people about their book before they finished writing it is like kind of a faux pas. But no, it's probably fine. It's good. I've got like, half a chapter, so it's like basically written already.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm also attempting to write a fantasy novel. I'll let you know how that goes. I feel a little bad I feel, I guess, anxious announcing that I'm working on writing a fantasy novel because that means that I actually have to do things. Or there's some people that may be expecting me to do things, but it's going to be great.
Cool.
Talk to me in 10 years about it.
And I know you hate announcements, Nicole, so I will make the announcement that we've been planning on, which is, this is our show's pledge, is for every streamer we get every week, Nicole will have that many paragraphs of the book written for next week.
Okay.
So I see 2 streamers on the stream right now, so that means 2 paragraphs next week Nicole's going to read to us.
Deal. Also, I do want to note that I have told Kelly what my book is about, and he absolutely was not paying attention and has no idea. So actually, maybe Kelly, do you want to tell him what my book's about?
Yeah, Kelly, tell us
yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Tell us more.
Yeah.
So Nicole's book is about a little troll who lives in a horrid little filthy southern city. Because in this magical land called Gondola.
This sounds real.
Yeah, there's the people of the north who are very urbane and erudite and just kind and handsome. Yeah, and in the south, the people who live there, they're kind of like crass and incestuous Philistines.
Is this a metaphor for the Canada-US relationship?
No. It's like think of Gondola as a region within a larger country, right? But we're only concerned about whether you live in the northern or the southern part of Gondola. And so this troll has all these dreams of moving to northern Gondola, but like ultimately fails at a lot of her attempts to move to northern Gondola because like her central her main or tragic flaw is the word I'm looking for, is that she's a massive coward and a charlatan. So it's kind of interesting to see how it's gonna pan out, like, because she has these contacts in the north and they're sort of like allies, like really good friends who want her to succeed, but she's constantly like trapped in this like hellish labyrinthine dirty disgusting city she's in. Yeah, it's really cool, and I really love the way you've imagined that city, where it has these like big impressive buildings, but they're like connected by these elaborate series of hamster tubes so that people don't go outside. And like, yeah, it's very imaginative.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can really visualize the scenario that you're talking about. And I don't really associate it with it myself, but it's nice to that's the nice thing about fantasy is you can really put yourself into like another person's shoes, like someone that's totally made up and like maybe like isn't necessarily at all what your reality's like. But yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, so I hope you guys are excited for her book. It comes out. Oh, we got a third streamer. So that means that's 3 paragraphs next week, Nicole.
Okay, can do.
David, if you want to be an asshole, here's what you can do to send messages to us. If you click on that little brand option.
Ooh, that's
I can't read your chicken scratch.
Nice,
if you go to the little brand, the banners option on the right, you can type shit and it will appear on screen. Yeah.
Oh, we're in Funky Town now.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ooh. Is that the name of your novel, Nicole?
Yeah, it is actually. Funky Town, of course, being the town in the south, which is, despite its elaborate series of hamster tunnels, it's, it does have like a very live or robust live music community that's very integrated and fun to hang out in. So my writing partner that I generally partake in writing with is also happens to be our GM tonight.
Ooh.
So now actually might be a good idea. Might be a good time to bring him out. Josh, did you have anything to say about? Do you have any
Our hosts
notes
have
on
left.
What's that?
So our hosts have left. Here
Oh, okay,
we
cool.
go. Here we go.
Just me then. Oh,
Well, I don't know if my mic's
Eat the
connected
mic.
yet.
Eat the mic.
Eat the mic.
Eat the mic.
God, that is just uncomfortable.
You're gonna hate leaning forward. It's almost as if this thing moves.
Yeah,
It's
which
almost
is
like I asked you to position
in my
into a
face.
position
I
of
mean,
comfort.
well,
Yeah.
you see, I have a good mic at my house, and
Mm.
I don't
Oh,
have to.
burn.
I don't have to eat like
Got
that.
him.
Talk.
Are you gonna take that, David? And he's shit talking your mics.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
As the
yeah, thank you for that was actually bothering me while I was in the room there. I was about to walk in and be like, do you actually think that everyone who watches these things is a streamer themselves?
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought you were
see-
talking about us. We're two streamers.
No,
'Cause
see, the
we're
way I
on the
think of
stream
it
and there's
is that,
two of us.
you
And now
know,
there's three.
what a
so-
lot of people do is they make a stream and they blast it out onto the world. They're just splattering it onto the rest of the world's faces, and they don't get any like actual, interplay with their audience, right? They're just like, oh fuck, you can watch me, I'm important. What we want is for the audience to participate. So the moment that there are viewers who are making their comments on Twitch or on YouTube or wherever else, David can press them, highlight them, bring them on screen. We'll discuss them. So really, they are part of the stream. Ergo, they are streamers. They're equal to us. There's no hierarchy.
Except me,
well,
because
yeah.
I'm the master, the game master, one might call, or dungeon, depending what you're into.
I think GM is short for game moron in this case.
Oh, damn. I
Yeah,
didn't think of it that way.
I know. That's why you never saw me write it out ever. It's a trick.
But yes, I am Nicole's writing partner, although immensely less talented.
Oh,
And that's a low bar to limbo under.
I mean, it's easy for him to say because he's never read any of my work, so he just assumes that my writing is really good. But I've actually read some of his stuff, and it's pretty cool.
I'm okay with this hierarchy, to be completely honest. I can work with this.
Yes. Yeah, Josh lives off of self-deprecation. So if you guys have any comments, you can send them that are negative and super shitty. Just send them to him
I'll
because
eat
it's
them right up. I'll eat
really
them
just
right
feeds
up.
them and
Josh, why are
builds
you
them.
wearing my grandpa's glasses? This
Why
is kind of
am
what
I
I'm curious
wearing your
about.
grandpa's glasses?
Yeah.
Because your grandpa is hip, and now by default I am hip.
He is hip?
Yeah, or
He's
he's a
dead.
broken
That's
hip.
very rude.
Well, I mean, it happens to all of us.
I mean,
eventually.
we're all
We're now in
millennials. We all wish we
era.
were
But,
dead.
was
So
hip,
I
that's
guess
what you
we
wanna
wish we
say.
were as cool as Josh's grandpa, who is dead.
I mean, one of mine is too.
Got him.
I've been
Or
burned.
is this a contest now of whose grandpa died most recently? Because
Oh, I mean,
I think I know who wins.
I want to get back a little bit to this
you don't want to talk about our dead grandpas, Kelly. That's very
hierarchy
rude.
where I see. Use my built-in banner. To this hierarchy where the GM is very high on it, but you didn't cut the GM off camera. You cut me off camera. Oh, you fucking asshole! It does track.
I centered the mic, and then you moved away from the center of the camera, and you moved away. So I can do that.
We're good. I'm on screen.
Comfortable.
Yeah. This is as
Eat
much
the
Emily's fault
mic.
as it is mine. It's further.
It's okay. Technically, the important people are on stream now.
Okay.
Yes. Based on the hierarchy, I think we're okay.
Mm.
Yes.
It's going to be good because David is so on the ball with clicking on the buttons that make the people talking the main camera that you won't even notice the room cam. Isn't that right, David?
100%.
People like to see everybody all in one shot. That's what people want to see. They're clamoring for it.
So I'm going to give a compliment about David.
Are you though?
My
Yeah.
favorite thing about David is that he always keeps you guessing, and he's very bold in his decision making. Even when he says, "How do you want to do this?" and I'll explain, "We're going to do it exactly like this," and he goes, "Anything you want, baby." And then we show up, we turn our mics on, we put on our invisible headphones, and he's doing something completely different. It's just like wild card, bitches.
That's actually the sign of a good producer, though, when they realize that their creative head is kind of stupid and there's a better way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a sign of a good producer, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if you knew that.
Nicole, should we move on to the? Should we get back to the sincere interview, or should we do the? Should we move on to the bit we had?
I want to address something really quickly. I noticed in the hierarchy, David put me above the guests, and I want to like make it very clear that that's definitely not true. I'm like definitely like I'm like definitely above Kelly. I don't know if I'm above the viewers, but I'm like the guests are definitely way ahead of me. Like definitely, if you guys are sending mean comments, like direct them at Kelly and I and each other, but never to the guests. Actually, send them to Josh too. He needs to be taken down a peg.
Or 3.
Yeah, don't send them to David. He puts up with enough of Kelly's shit. He doesn't need everyone else's. But that's how I would. Yeah, perfect.
Wait, so Josh is on there twice?
Am I? Yeah, I am.
He
Fuck
is.
shit.
That's how
Wow.
important
Are
he
there
is.
2 of you?
I mean, if you're crazy enough. That's a bad joke. Actually, DID is in current contestation in the psychiatric and psychological health metrics. Fun fact.
So Emily, I want to get back to your relationship to pop culture.
Sure.
And that's right, you can re-rail a derailed train. I am curious about this because anyone, if they want to go right now, they can go to emilymissedout.com. They can scroll through all these episodes and be like, wow, this is pretty much every like mainstream don't miss, everyone talks about a movie ever that she did not have time to see because like not a big movie watcher, fair enough. But as of at least I think pretty early in the podcast, you had seen The Master of Disguise.
Yes. Yep.
So let's talk about that.
Sure. I watched it when I was a kid. We watched it as a family, so it's a movie I've seen.
Your homeschool family.
Sorry.
Your homeschool family.
Yes.
Okay, again, this tracks.
Wait, we don't need to let Emily's homeschooling define her as a person and like refer to it consistently throughout the show.
Oh, I
Is
mean, you
that-
definitely can. Yeah, I make Am I Turtling after the Turtle Club references all the time. That's a thing I do.
It's kind of fun to unearth the movies that she has seen. Well,
There's a few weird ones.
I'm not used to this, okay, David?
I haven't seen it. So when you finished Master of Disguise, I know you you were a kid, you didn't have the format.
Emily?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, how's it going,
You can
Patty?
highlight Patty's comments. Oh my god. It's,
Oh, there you go. Nice.
and this is what happens when we
Yeah.
listen.
No, I know both of the people who were on your first episode
Mm-hmm.
because I know everyone
So
cool.
do you have good inroads to Braden?
Do I have good inroads?
Inroads to Braden. Can you get him back on our show? Because
Oh,
like
I
you kind of graph out the quality of GMs over time, and it starts with Braden, and it's just like,
Mhm. Oh no. Well, we have to give Josh a chance to prove himself. But Braden's pretty cool. I can see what I can do.
Yeah, it's
the
okay.
cool
I'm
GM
just standing
hookup.
right here, Kelly. It's fine,
you're
though.
standing right there.
I just worked on a story all night. It's no big deal or anything. I haven't slept in 2 days, but you know, just for the show, man, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
The things that people do to make Kelly's dreams come alive. Anyways, Emily. So you saw Master of Disguise before you saw Wayne's World.
Yep.
Have you
out.
seen Wayne's World now?
We watched it for the podcast, so yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, it's almost like Nicole didn't listen to the podcast.
There are like over 50 episodes, so
Yeah. You've managed to watch quite a few movies.
I know so much more pop culture, and I'm still lost sometimes. It's very sad.
All right, we're gonna have a tonal gear shift. So I have a genuine question for you, a sincere question. This is not a bit. So one of the things you mentioned early, like kind of, I think it's in the intro, so it's in every episode, is that you, as of the beginning of the podcast, you'd only watched any Star Wars like really late in life, right?
Yeah, part of how the podcast came to be was that like for years and years I was like, I haven't seen Star Wars, and people are always like, well, I'll watch Star Wars with you, and then they never did until Brienne, and then I watched Star Wars with Brienne,
Yeah.
the original trilogy. So I did go into the podcast having seen those, and then we watched the prequel trilogy for a Christmas special.
And I think you mentioned you've seen the sequels too.
Yes.
So as somebody who didn't grow up on any of it, as somebody who has no
Mm.
nostalgia, who is like really not a lot of, like we said, pop culture context, you are probably the most objective observer we could ask for. How do you think the three like eras of movies compare?
Yeah, like it is really hard because I don't have the nostalgia factor, so the older movies just feel really slow to me. And then yeah, the prequels, I think they got better as we went through them. Or was two the best? I don't remember now. One was a little bit weird.
Yeah.
There's definitely weird parts. They're not perfect.
His smile dead. Hearing the original trilogy referred to as slow.
I'm used to modern movies, man.
It's okay. I'm the resident superhero movie hater, so
Oh, are you?
yes.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
Josh, why don't you tell us how you feel about the Avengers movies?
We don't have
feel
time
you.
for that. We still have
Oh,
we have
gosh.
guests to deal with here.
Yeah, I think I've decided I'm not going to any more superhero movies because I just get dragged to random ones and I'm like, I don't know what's going on because I haven't seen the first 7 movies.
Yeah.
So
I wish it was 7.
yeah, well,
Was there like
shit
40 of them now?
But yeah, my favorite Star Wars movie is 7. So take that for what you will.
No, that's fair. I mean,
Everyone knows how
Oh,
the Star Wars movies progress, but for those of our viewers that don't know, 7 would be which one?
Sorry. I'm sorry.
You're the movie expert, Brian.
I was reading what was on the screen. The Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that was just for our viewers, definitely.
Somebody was saying that you need to see the Fast and the Furious.
Yeah,
I think.
Patty was saying that. And we have done. Did we just do one?
Yeah, we did one.
So I've seen at least one Fast and Furious.
So you would maybe agree with my assertion, Emily, that all the Star Wars is kind of overrated, right?
I mean,
It's kind of nerd shit, right?
but I am a nerd.
Mm.
Yeah.
But I am.
Are we
a
allowed to
nerd,
get blood on the
Kelly.
walls, David? I will clean them.
Time for the gray one. Gray one
Perfect.
first.
Yeah.
If you need to know how nerdy I am, I once at a Chapters bought a math book, a chemistry book, and a book about making characters for Dungeons and Dragons. That was a purchase I made.
I was checking your nerd cred, and I just checked it, and you
There you
just
go.
made enough points. You win.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is a great segue. I wasn't sure. I'm going to have to ask the host permission. So Nicole, from time to time, what we do is I like to bring a little half thought out bit to the table just in case we're drowning, and you kind of just set me up with it.
I'm surprised that you're asking me for permission now, considering I started to ask a question earlier and you like totally derailed it. But yeah, go ahead.
What was the question? No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask specifically how Emily felt about, now that she's watched Wayne's World, how she felt about Dana Carvey's career progression. Did it make you, I guess, so watching them in that order, is it less sad to feel that he like went from Wayne's World to Master of Disguise, or are you feeling like pretty okay about it
Oh,
because you watched them in order?
I watched Master of Disguise as a child, so I did not know that Dana Carvey was in it.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Cool.
you couldn't
it's
tell he was
not
so well
like it didn't
disguised.
affect you
like-
emotionally.
Oh gosh, I really should rewatch Master of Disguise. I hear it doesn't hold up, but
No,
like
you
I feel
shouldn't.
like I maybe liked it as a kid.
You know, I
Please
don't want to
don't-
split too many
please don't
hairs, but
rewatch
I
it.
feel like the
Please
phrase
don't.
"it doesn't holds up" implies it was like good or considered good the first time.
Okay, but like things are good when you're a kid.
No, that's true.
Yeah,
Most of our
that's
movies
fair.
go that way.
Well, that's where my kind of Star Wars beliefs comes from. Is like people are so angry about newer Star Wars, and I'm like, I think it's just because you saw those when you were a kid. Those prequels are just as good. Like it's all kind of dumb. It's all kind of space lasers. It's all silly. And I tried to, but I did. I'll say this: I tried to rewatch The Phantom Menace recently after not having seen it since I was probably very young, and I was like, "Wow, this is a dog shit movie." Like it's so weird. Everything is confusing, awkward. The CGI is horrible. So I think I only elevated that because I was a kid. But that's why it kind of brought me to the theory that somebody who had never seen any of it would look at like the oldest ones and the newest ones and be like, kind of the same.
I'm agreeing with our commenter right now where, yeah, the prequel trilogy is very bad. Like, to be a little pretentious for a second, at least the original trilogy had Lucas looking at Kurosawa's Seven Samurai and being like, I think that's pretty neat. I'm not entirely sure what he was looking at for the prequel trilogy.
Emily, what are your thoughts on Kurosawa?
On who or what?
Just play it off like you know. Just what are your thoughts on, what is it, Akira Kurosawa?
Akira Kurosawa, yes.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on his films?
A+.
Good take. Good
Hold
take.
up.
Not
They hold
wrong.
up.
Like a good rule of thumb with Josh is to just assume that every movie that he's ever watched has been in black and white with subtitles and in some sort of foreign language.
Worth watching like that though for Emily. So maybe we just need you to come guest.
Well, I could always come and be awkward there at any
Perfect.
point, just like
Who are now streamers. So this is Jen, right? So Jen is now a streamer. And Jen says, I think it's a good sign to watch a movie years later and recognize why it's problematic. It shows you've grown and learned. Yeah, what do you guys think of that?
Yeah, that's definitely how most of our films go.
Yeah. And like for me, like I don't have that with the movies for the podcast, obviously, because it's my first time watching them. So just like right off the back, I'm like, oh yeah, this is the 80s. The 80s were so problematic and many other things. But yeah, definitely like TV shows that I've rewatched over time. I'm like, oh, there's some stuff in here that probably shouldn't be or wouldn't be if it was made in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard you talk a bit about How I Met Your Mother, and that's something that I've noticed as well. Rewatching that show, I'm like, oh,
yeah,
Barney
there's a
is
lot of cringe
so
moments, and
problematic.
the characters just get more and more unlikable the more I rewatch it.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, you're just all bad people, and it's not fun anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of frustrating. Like it's
Yeah.
there's a part of you that always wants to resist that feeling and be like, no, it was fine, and I'm just being too hyper aware now. But I mean, yeah, realistically, I think Jen's right. Like you gotta change your perspective and look at it in a different way. And also, as a woman, being like, yes, all of Barney's actions are fine, and he's a non-problematic character. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
probably
well, like,
pretty.
they like recognize on the show that Barney is problematic, but like the more I watch it, the more I realize the problematic things that are like more stealth in the other characters where like, oh, like Ted's the protagonist and like is so sweet and stuff, and it's like, no, some of the stuff he does is just not okay.
Well, I think the big thing is always like when people are really resistant to looking at some of their favorite movies that they watched as a kid or even as an adult or just a bit older, they go like, oh, this thing has problematic elements, so that means I'm supposed to hate it now, but I still like it. And so they become really resistant to looking at that as problematic, where you can I've watched lots of 70s exploitation movies that are very problematic. I'm like,
'80s, I'm like, the '80s is just very rapey for some reason.
Yep. And actually,
We're
sorry,
going
going
through a
back to the Barney thing, I think that's another thing that I've been noticing more in older shows is they're like, we're going to have this problematic character that you can laugh at, and we're going to point out how problematic they are, and that's going to make it okay. But I don't necessarily, I think it's like there's a fine line between that, like where it's like, yeah, you can bring it up and it's going to be okay, but I don't know. I feel like just recognizing like, this character's shitty isn't necessarily enough to like make it okay. Like I guess a good example is Rick and Morty. I feel like a lot of people look at that and be like, oh yeah, Rick is like obviously like an alcoholic and super problematic and like a shitty person, but like there's also a lot of people that are like, he's hilarious. I'm just like him.
I know multiple people who are like, I'm like Barney from How I Met Your Mother, and it's like,
and you're like, please don't.
Why?
Yeah, why do you want to be that?
Yeah, I'm like, why is this a thing that you think you are?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess it's all, I don't know. I don't want to put all the onus on the viewer, but I definitely think that there is a responsibility to the director and producer to make sure that that's coming across, that this is not okay. But I guess it's also on the viewer to look at things critically. I know some people that idolize the guy in Wolf of Wall Street, and I felt like that show was like pretty.
Rise and grind, baby. Grind never stops.
Ugh.
I didn't watch it.
That's
All right,
fine.
we're collecting more films for you to watch, Emily.
Yeah, never read it either.
So you are collecting new films for her to watch. Are you like? Do you have a start time plan for your new season?
We're just doing a handful of episodes. Emily and I are both in school right now.
Mhm.
So we just tried to watch a couple over the summer, and we'll record a few for the end of the year, and then we'll probably have to take another break again until we're done school. But
So is that probably a bad time for Nicole and I to pitch you some spinoffs? All right, Nicole, did you come up with any?
put her on the spot.
I have one if you
No,
don't.
I forgot we were doing that. Go on. You go ahead and pitch the spin-offs.
Yeah, I got a few. So one of them is Emily Misses Out, in which you get a group of people, kind of like we were doing with Memento, where you have her in the podcast with you, maybe a guest, and we talk about a movie that she still hasn't seen. And we can just kind of like really get that audible blank stare going, just kind of the whole time. Like I think that could be a new fun spin on it.
Does
'cause-
that sound like fun to you, Emily?
Is it like we do the whole episode and then I watch it, or we do the whole episode and then I just never watch it?
Yeah.
I'm going to say the latter, because it's not Emily is temporarily missing out. It's just like
Like, I
Emily
miss
is
it
missing
forever.
out. Yeah.
I mean, there are some movies that like I really don't have interest in seeing.
Yeah.
So like some of the way darker spectrum of things. Clockwork Orange, would that be like one of them?
I mean,
Yeah,
if you're
but we
looking for
should- but we
darker,
should see it. But
Uh,
yeah.
it's,
See, we can do an Emily Misses Out on that.
Yeah.
that's one of Kubrick's best, although it's really fucking dark. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It is.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Josh, you've seen Clockwork Orange?
I know. What a shocker. Yes, I have seen a Clockwork Orange.
It's not. It's in color, isn't it?
Oh.
Yes, it is in color. In fact, in English even.
In English. Okay.
Well, except
cool.
for like the weird
See, I'm gonna
fake
say
half
though
Russian
that it's
slang.
like Kubrick, I believe, is English though, so I'm gonna say that it's technically not. I get away with it still because he's not from this continent.
Right. It is still a foreign language, isn't
No
it?
foreign film to you.
Exactly. That's my loophole right there, at
That's
least for
funny.
watching Kubrick.
Oh, I can't wait for someone to come in on the Twitch stream and tell you whether or not he's where's he from? American film director. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just talking. No, he went to Britain because he hated America. That's what it was. I can get
Oh,
behind that.
that's fair.
So I'm wrong,
Legit.
but I'm gonna pretend I'm not because I am a white straight male.
Mm,
Oh goodness.
I feel
The
that.
key is the key is to double down now.
This is what's happening.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
recognize that the stream is problematic.
It always is.
Did you know that we're actually kind of doing an Emily Missed Out spinoff tonight?
No.
Oh yeah. Wait.
Because it's going to be a Brienne missed out on playing tabletop role playing games.
Yeah.
That is true. And we covered Kelly Missed Out on your podcast.
Yes.
And I mean, I guess it's sort of a Josh is currently missing out on your podcast.
It is true.
We're
I felt
covering a
like
lot of the bases.
they started talking about it and how great it was, and I was like, I was not told to watch this. I am lost and confused, and I feel bad.
That
now.
would have been
Are you
thoughtful of us
dazed
to
and
tell
confused?
you.
References.
That Emily gets now.
There we go.
We
Oh.
watched that movie. You could listen to that episode.
Yep.
I mean, I plan on going through a few of these episodes now because you
See?
guys, Kelly really did, to his credit, he knows how to talk something up.
He really did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's full of shit yet, but
Now, I don't want to throw you under the bus here, Josh,
Yes.
but I'm just going to tell you this is like a learning opportunity, is that you can see who the upcoming guests are on the schedule, which is pinned on the Discord.
fun fact, I actually can't read. This is for decoration.
Oh, it's a good decoration, too.
I'm actually illiterate. That's why I watch so many movies.
Well, we can keep catching you up on the podcast. So there was another thing that came up that it really gave me another idea for a spinoff,
Okay.
which is called Brienne Miss Dort. And it's in which you make her watch Homestar Runner,
Oh.
Yeah.
which I think is probably more upsetting than any movie that you haven't watched it.
Yeah. Totally missed out on that one.
We have to watch Teen Girl Squad
There seems to be a lot of things that I also need to see.
and Trogdor.
I'm happy to watch stuff. Let's try it out.
I will gladly host this.
Cool.
But it can't be a podcast. It has to be like, I don't know, maybe we'll just like do it as like a street performance.
Maybe we'll just hang out.
Anything but a podcast. I would just fuck that.
Actually, that's a kind of a good segue into some of the questions that I had, or some of the things I wanted to discuss.
Or are we done with our spin-off pitches?
Do you have more spin-off pitches?
I have one, and I'm really proud of it.
Oh.
Okay.
Save it for last.
Thank you for the banner, David. So I've been thinking about this joke for a week. I mean, this spin-off for a week. It's a serious pitch.
Okay.
So there's so Brienne is going to look up a bunch of theories, whether they are fan theories, conspiracy theories, scientific theories, and Emily's going to kind of just like be skeptical of a lot of them.
Okay.
And it's called Emily Misdoubt.
Oh, that took me entirely too long to get, but I think that makes it better.
You know what's funny is there's another podcast on our network called "It's a Conspiracy," where basically what they do is go through conspiracy theories. We should pitch that to them for
Yeah.
the next episode.
Yeah, we've guested it on their podcast a couple of times. So
Actually, talk about the Alberta Podcast Network for a second.
Yeah.
Oh wait, or do you want to get to Nicole's thing? I have been talking over her.
No, it's fine.
So that's good. Thank you for the endorsement. So on the Alberta Podcast Network, they're having you do these ads, right?
Yeah.
Like, do they give you a lot of direction what the ads have to be?
Yeah. Yeah. Or you can just talk. Sometimes it's both.
yeah, sometimes they'll give you an option that's like, here's just like a straight read if you just want to read their sample text
copy?
for you, their copy for you,
Yeah.
or they'll give you like more general topics and they're like, you can just chat about your experience with this if you want.
Yeah, and hit a couple points.
In your experience, did they get mad at you if you kind of talk shit about like ATB or banks in general or capitalism or like the things that banks tend to fund? Has that come up?
We generally don't talk about that on our movie podcast, so we haven't really given them an opportunity to hate us, I think.
Also, I like ATB.
Yeah.
I love banks. Banks, they're our friends. Corporations, they're our friends. They're so good.
I appreciate ATB because they actually do support a lot of arts stuff. Yeah, like we have like the ATB Arts Barn, which is like a venue in Edmonton.
Thank you, Brady. Wait, fucking thank you, Patty.
Oh, what's Patty saying?
What to say?
Professional fact checker.
Patty was
Yes.
explaining
Heck
my
yeah.
joke for anyone who missed it, and
That is wonderful.
I called them Brady because I'm very stupid. And
Patty, you're a pal.
yeah, we're gonna move on from that. If I was really smart, I was gonna get Nicole to ask her partner, who's like extremely up on these things, whether ATB is one of those banks that's like funding coal mining and shit, and I didn't. Do you want to ask him real quick?
I don't know if they're funding
Yeah, totally.
government, right?
I'll be right back.
Okay. Thank.
That's a good banner. That's a very good banner there.
Kelly, you're a force of nature. Did you know?
Yeah. I've been called that by a lot of people.
Like in a
And-
disaster sense?
Yeah, I mean, what's more forceful? Kelly, is the coal mining industry in a weird constellation shirt? I'm so confused by that sentence. I cannot parse it at all.
Also, I have
But-
a constellation. show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yours is
Matchy,
actual
matchy.
constellations.
Yeah.
Mine is just like weird paint spills.
It's very Jackson Pollock of you.
Yes.
Nicole, did you find anything out?
Yeah, actually, I just talked to Ryan, and he said all of the bank CEOs had a change of heart, and they are no longer they're no longer funding any coal mining projects or any projects that are going to harm the environment in the future. So
Is he doing a bit?
I hope this
no,
is
that's real
But,
information. I don't know why you would think that that's like.
I'm going to
incredible.
call a misdoubt right here.
Yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
So Nicole, I'm glad you could come back. I have like a freight train going through a clearly styrofoam brick wall. I'm railroading us onto the the discussion I wanted to bring to the table tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's any better time when we're talking about the kind of like film nerd that Josh is. We're talking about the kind of movie nerd that Brianne is. We're talking about the kind of like game nerd that Emily is, which I had told you about this before, but I think I'm finally done, you know, because the writing I start, I finish.
Wow.
Oh,
It's okay. I'm only dunking on George R.R. Martin here. So,
okay.
but I think I've solved it. I've figured out the taxonomy of nerds. Can we work through it, and you guys can give me like some feedback on it?
I mean, feel free.
Yeah.
We can't stop you. This is your show.
We are on your
Absolutely
show.
Stop me.
I already feel victimized, but go on.
Well, so lest anyone think I'm about to punch down on genuine hobbies, I have been a lot of these categories in my life. I would say up to and including the present day, and they're not always positive in my case. So, but this is how we grow and learn together. So, all right. So first we've got the nerd, right? This is, I feel, the umbrella term. It kind of covers everything. And I'm going to try to say a positive and negative thing about each category. So to me, a nerd is just someone who has like a genuine appreciation for something and a love for it. Is that fair?
I would think so. You can be like a sports nerd. You can be a film nerd. You can be anything like that. So I'd say the umbrella term at least works out properly.
Right. So if you're merely at the nerd level, like on the one hand, you're probably like wholesome and harmless. On the other hand, it's like, well, you're a bit generic, right? So if you're defining yourself like, yeah, I'm such a nerd. I just love like the MCU. It's like, well, you want to fucking metal like everyone does. Is that right? That's not
everyone.
Special. So, okay. So next we have the geek. And again, lest I sound disparaging, I feel like this describes me as a teenager perfectly. And this is a nerd who is like particularly lacking in like physical gifts, you know, like probably very uncoordinated. You know, this is the geek is the kind of nerd who like was really adept at getting sick notes from their mom and or their doctor to get out of gym class. And yeah, so like you can say something positive here. They will do your math homework. Okay, bye, David. The negatives, you know, like don't pick them first on your softball team. I don't know. Does this track?
I mean, I don't know because I'm too generic. I'm well rounded, I guess you would say.
So you're thinking you're at the nerd.
So far in the discussion of two.
All right. Yeah. So let's move forward. So next we have the dweeb. So to my mind, a dweeb is somebody who's characterized by their utter lack of charisma. So they.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is what you're choosing this time while we're live to call me out like this, or
No, see, Nicole, you're not a dweeb. My example for a dweeb was Bill Gates. Like this is somebody who they have the self-awareness to know that they're like not the most charming person, and they lean into whatever strength they have in like a highly aggressive way. So you got someone like this who's like he's taken the fact that, you know, he's kind of okay at programming computers and really good at creating monopolies and thinks he's hot shit because of it. But like Bill Gates is nobody's friend.
Can we get a F in the chat for Netscape Communicator?
Netscape Navigator? Or is it both?
Netscape Communicator was the original.
Oh man, I made a Netscape Navigator reference earlier. I thought I was being smart. So like to me, like I would say a nerd's a pretty positive thing. I think a geek's a sympathetic character. Again, I strongly identify with that. To me, the dweeb is like, stop doing that, Bill Gates. Like, just turn it down 6 notches. You know what I mean?
Stop setting precedent for Disney to set up monopolies in the future.
Right.
I feel like Bill Gates is too successful to be a dweeb.
But have you like seen him talk? It's like that's the thing is like I think the dweeb believes that it's like, well, once I'm rich, everyone will think I'm so cool. And it's like you're Bill Gates. You're not fooling anyone. Right? You have a look of doubt on your face.
I'm just
You're being
trying to
misdoubt.
Brienne
shuffle
is
through.
now missed out.
I'm missed out. I'm just trying to shuffle through what discussion we're actually having here. Are we trying to categorize the levels of these words? Is that what
I
we're?
feel like I've categorized it, but I want
Yeah.
feedback on it. I want to know if this taxonomy makes sense.
That's how you know he's a geek. He uses words like that.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I am absolutely still a geek because I have tried to become like coordinated, and it took me like 30 years to successfully hit a golf ball. Like, these are just things like even my own family. Like my dad is a nerd; he's worked in computers in my whole life, but he's not a geek because he can hit a golf ball. My brothers
Sports
can
is
both
the
hit a
line.
golf ball. Yeah.
Okay.
So sorry,
Like-
what's the differentiation here between geek and dweeb?
I think the geek is somebody who like they kind of lack that physical coordination in some way. Like,
Right.
I would say from a male's perspective, like when I was in junior high, I was like a really like skinny, scrawny kid, and that made
Right.
you feel. But the dweeb is like I feel like a dweeb could be like extremely jacked. They could throw 100 mph fastball, but they have like no charisma. If we're gonna put this as like
No
a D&D
charisma.
character sheet,
Right.
they got 0
So,
in
like, you-
charisma, but the geek has 0 in strength and 0 in dexterity.
Right. Okay. So the dweeb specifically, like, say they might be someone that like doesn't really grab people to begin with. It takes them a while to make friends. They like don't have a whole lot of like maybe not necessarily they don't have necessarily the people skills to get people right away.
Yeah, and I
Um,
think I saw a comment from Jen there who's like, it's all about demeanor.
Hmm.
So I'll give you a
Okay.
further example to a word David used earlier. We have the goober. And to me, it's similar to a dweeb in that like they're like the goober is not particularly like talented. They don't have something like completely going for them, but they're not shitty. They're not mean. They're just kind of there.
Just very vanilla.
Yeah, and I would say like I don't want to disparage goobers. I feel like this is a respectable place to be in. You're okay. You're not hurting anyone, and you're not out there Bill Gatesing and embarrassing yourself.
So the dweeb is the negative connotation of the whole.
I feel like dweeb
group?
skews more negative. If I
Okay.
called someone a dweeb, I'd be like, this person is doing something that is sucky, that merits them being disparaged. Whereas the goober is like, if I'm like, I don't mind that guy. He's fine. He's a goober. Like, goober.
Is it better to be like below someone's notice or to be like like kind of annoying or shitty that people notice you? Because I think that's like for me the shittiest thing someone can say is like, I don't even know who you're talking about because they did not make an impression on me, which it feels like is like how you're describing a goober.
Yeah. So my example, you tell me if this makes sense. I feel like a example of a goober was like any character played by Michael Cera or Rick Moranis, right? Like those are beloved actors. So when you turn your attention to them, you're like, you know what? I can respect you. You like you're very agreeable. I would
Right.
personally rather be a goober than a dweeb because my biggest thing at this stage of my life is I just don't want to be shitty to people other than when they are on this show with us. But that's like pro wrestling. It's kayfabe.
Nah.
Right. So sorry, you said you'd rather be a goober than a dweeb?
Yeah, because the dweeb is trying too hard. The dweeb is overcompensating instead of just like the goobers maybe accepted themselves for who they are. Right.
Right.
And that's self-love. That's a positive thing.
And sorry, what's the second one that you said? There's the nerd, then the
We have the
The
geek.
geek. Okay, would you rather be a goober or a geek? And what is the differentiation between the two?
So the
Physical prowess for geek.
yeah. Like I think a lot of people grow out of being a geek. You know, some of us are late bloomers.
Mhm.
I feel like I could finally start doing basic sports things when I was like 20 years old. when everyone around me learned to do it when they were like 13.
Yeah, I can buy that.
Okay.
I don't know. Is it different for, I guess, different genders? Like what a geek or a dweeb or a goober is? Because I feel like I felt like a, geek in high school, but I was pretty good at baseball. So does that make me a nerd, or does that make me a goober, or am I just like the cis woman version of a geek? Or
why did you feel like a geek? Was it because you were smart, or because you were maybe like awkward or just not popular?
Oh, definitely awkward. Definitely couldn't figure out how to walk. Thing is, when you're like, I feel like my boobs came in before I knew what to do with them, and then that made me even more physically awkward. But then, like, you can still swing a bat at things if you have boobs. So like, there's that one thing that I was good at.
I feel like if you identify with physical awkwardness in some way, that's geek, and that's just sometimes just part of. Everyone has at least a week where like growing up sucked for them. I think, like like when your just like voice was cracking, or when you're like, oh, I don't know these changes to my body. It's like it's always awkward to go through that. So it's like being a geek is like a rite of passage, right? Like I think it's respectable in that way.
Yeah, okay.
If we hit more categories, maybe we can flesh this out.
You have more of these.
Oh, I've got more. Do you want to burn through them faster? We're really like delving deeper than I thought we were gonna. Because I've got the Poindexter for an hour. All right. We're gonna rip through them. So we got the Poindexter, which is somebody who is like genuinely very smart, but their intelligence is just so saturated in everything that starts to ruin it. It's like your Neil deGrasse Tyson. It's like, yeah, you're not wrong, but like,
still want to enjoy it, yeah.
But fuck me, are you annoying?
Yeah, like, can you chill? Like, you're so smart that your positive trait becomes your negative trait. That's a Poindexter. Next one, we got the twerp. The twerp is somebody who I would say of these lacks the actual dimension of smartness. There's someone who thinks they're aggressively smart, but is really just aggressive. I was thinking like, this is your Mark Zuckerberg, this is your Ben Shapiro. Those are twerps. Like
Elon Musk.
Yeah, he's hard to pin down, but to me, like Ben Shapiro is the twerp because he's just so convinced of how smart he is, and he's so aggressive, and it's just like that. I look at that guy, I'm like, that's a twerp. That's just like living Dunning-Kruger. And then
That's fair.
Yeah. And then finally here, I won't even go into my like secondary types here. My last main character class here is the dork. And this is somebody who is like a nerd about a thing that you shouldn't be a nerd about. So when someone is like, my favorite song's the national anthem, like, you're a fucking dork. And this is an unequivocally bad thing. I have nothing positive to say about it. So like nationalists, monarchists, like people who are like if you've seen like the military wife culture, where it's like, I'm Mrs. Second Lieutenant John Stevens, and it's like, man, you're a fucking dork. Like, where's your identity? I don't know. Do you feel me on this?
I mean, whenever someone says dork, I just think of a whale's penis. So, because that's what dork means.
Wow.
So,
that.
Dork, like whale's penis.
Yeah, and you don't want to be that.
You don't want to be.
I really want you to know that your mic just cut out for that entire thing, and then it just popped on right for the end, so we could hear you say whale's penis.
And that's all we needed to hear.
All that matters, really.
Yeah,
that was the gist of it all.
And I think that's a good. That's like a great transition because I think it's about game time.
It is, and so what better time to pivot to the game as when our GM, the main person of the game, has established that his mic is not working. So take it away.
Vogue. Let your body go with the flow. Can y'all hear me? Is this entertaining?
Right on.
Oh, nice.
I wondered what that was.
The
See,
one, well,
and this is
this is the only time Nicole gets to talk when Kelly can't talk over her.
I really should have used my time more wisely, really.
Well, we'll just have to have more technical issues so you get another chance.
All right. The good news is
For some reason, I thought, because I couldn't hear you guys, that maybe everyone else couldn't hear me. But like now, I'm realizing that all of my like incessant humming was very audible. So I apologize to everyone that is tuning in, and that's just how it goes.
And this is why we don't do pre-recorded shows and we're doing it live, because we're so prepared for it and we're so adept with it that like you wouldn't be having this experience if this was something that we'd actually polished.
And now is your quarter-hour reminder that David is doing this all for free out of the goodness of his heart, out of his game shop, which he runs by himself, which is a small business in Edmonton that everyone should definitely support.
This is-
There's a lot of cool games here. Come check it out.
This is also your quarter-hour reminder that we are looking for a full-time producer who likes to work pro bono and won't break David's equipment, but will basically just devote an entire. Oh my god!
It sounds like actually I know someone that would fit this bill. His name's David something.
Sounds like an asshole. Sounds like a goober. That's what he sounds like.
I don't know.
I thought you said a goober was a good thing. Okay, David's
all of
very
these things are
insistent.
subjective.
We are apparently getting started on this game now.
Time.
All
I'm
right.
really excited for game time.
So yeah, I hear it's actually your first time doing something like this.
Yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Don't worry, it's super easy, and the system we're using is very basic.
Okay.
So today, under the insistence of one of our co-hosts here that there be no actual dungeons in any of our games, instead of going into a dungeon, you guys actually generally sit in front of a dungeon. You see, when adventurers go down into the dungeons, yeah, they bring some provisions, but eventually you run out and maybe there's treasure just 2 or 3 floors down. So you start killing monsters to sort of subsist off of them. And, you know, like anything down there, it's not great. It's pretty gamey food, you know? It's like if you're living off bear for too long.
Ugh.
So when these guys come out of the dungeon, they are tired of shitty food. They've eaten nothing but provisions, like stale bread, monster parts for up to a month. They're like, they want a taste of home now. And that's where you guys come in.
Heck
You guys
yeah.
have a street food vendor shop set up right outside of the dungeon, ready homemade cooking of any kind that they want, ready to go. So that's what you guys are doing. However, you've noticed as of late that there seem to be some bigger, more corporate interests coming in on here, you know.
Oh no.
Like just there seems to be a bit more money. They're selling stuff a little bit cheaper than you can handle. You know, you're wondering, how are they getting all this food for so cheap? There must be someone backing them. That's right. We got corporate interests coming to take your small businesses away. Are you guys going to stand for that?
Not
Hell no.
Exactly. So with that, we'll get the game started a little bit. I'm going to give a little preamble, and then we'll get to know the characters that we'll be dealing with today.
Cool. Real quick before you start, can you repeat that whole thing because I wasn't listening?
No,
Don't worry.
Kelly, it's called improv. Go with it.
Never heard of it.
This is what happens when I try to tell Kelly what my novel is about.
I told you what. Okay, sorry, we're talking over Josh. Go ahead.
So we'll start with a quote from the last words of an adventurer named Garrett before dying of food poisoning from a bad burrito he bought from his fellow adventurer. You know, I don't think it's the monsters in the dungeon that scare me anymore. I think it's the fact that 2 weeks into an expedition, I am so sick of eating them that I'll give almost anything for a taste of home. And then he bought that burrito and died. So, I mean, obviously he was willing to do literally anything for a taste of home.
Oh goodness.
So let's get to meet our characters. Why don't we start with the new person? Who's your character?
How are we doing this? Are we doing this as a together thing?
I
We have a. Sorry, is this good? Okay.
Because we have a food thing together.
Together.
then you
Yes.
better introduce yourselves together then,
Cool.
if you're running the same shop then.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, real-time camera adjustments.
Oh good. So
You love
my
to see how the sausage is made. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Emily.
my character's name is Emily Deverex.
Sorry, can you
Are you-
repeat that?
are you
I was,
ready to listen now,
David was
Kelly?
talking in my ear.
Mm-hmm.
He's the producer and he's giving me production
Yeah.
notes.
After the show. Yes, so my character's name is Emily Deverex. She has shoulder length, kind of purplish hair, 5'10", glasses. Her background is that she used to make hand-blown glass bottles for a magic potion shop. And this is a reference to Brianne and I used to work at a glass blowing studio together. Is
That's
how
incredible.
we met. And then we
Remarkable
struck out on a
imagination.
new venture together. Our Pierogi Princess food stand,
Mhm.
where we sell pierogies as well as slaughters, which are Slurpee waters.
Yes.
So you don't get over sugar, but you can stay cool. Slaughter your thirst.
Mhm.
This is our tagline.
Hell yes. That's so good.
Slaughter your thirst before you go slaughter the monster.
Yeah, I just want you guys to know that the Mennonite blood in me right now would absolutely buy from that street shop 100%.
And then would you like to introduce your character, Brianne?
I'm not Emily. Emily really helped me with this, so some of it I don't even know what I am. I'm Bian.
Mm-hmm.
Bian Burney. Long ginger hair. Apparently a great smile.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Also used to make hand-blown glass bottles. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
For a magic potion shop. And do we have anything different that's not slaughters? Nope. Slaughters and pierogies.
Unless you want to share your special skill, which we didn't share our special skills. I don't know if you want those to be a surprise.
I mean, if you guys feel they're relevant to your characters, please tell us what your special skills are.
I'm a magic person, and I have protection magic to protect the cart in case any monsters come out of the dungeon.
Very
That's my
practical. I
plan.
like it. Pragmatic. I
Yep,
like it.
Yep.
Which is necessary because my special talent is only great knowledge of movies.
Ah, perfect. Pop culture knowledge from when the adventures come out. They're like, oh man, I really need to see a movie right now. What's come out? What's come out? I need to know it's in town.
Oh my gosh.
All right, perfect. So that's our pierogi shop right here, run by these two. All right, Kelly, your character.
Well, I think we should go in the order of the hierarchy you came up with. So it's the guests, and then it's Nicole, and then it's me.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Nicole, who are you? Who are you?
Who?
Josh, we've known each other since kindergarten. So my sorry, I'm not going to change my name here. My character's name is Gon de Elf.
Sweet.
Thank you. So I'm a wizard. I'm working hard to put myself through wizard school. Despite taking out a substantial wizard loan, I'm forced to work at a part-time wizard job selling frozen goat's milk treats from my parents' franchise ice cream business, the Fairy Queen.
Oh, love it.
Thank you. Yeah, and my special talents are I have the ability to freeze things, but only very small things. So it comes really handy in my job. It's kind of like my parents taught me that when I was like a kid. That was like the first magic I learned. And that's about all I can do is just freeze small, like maybe like
Ice
head
cream
size things.
Slaughters.
Hell yeah. You guys hiring? I cannot
Yeah.
wait to get out of from underneath my parents' thumb.
We'll see how it goes.
All right, so we have our ice cream franchisee, our pierogi stand. All right, Kelly, why don't you finish us off here? What do you have?
Yeah, so my name is Angina Pectoris. What do I look like? I'm packed and stacked, especially in the back. My background, Angina has spent years chaining one scheme after another to cheat her lovers out of their disposable income. However, she caught a little too much heat in the last one and needs to lay low in the last place anyone would think to look for her, doing honest work. So for the special talent, so I was thinking, because you said we're using the special stat, we have magic, right?
Yes.
So I was thinking like, okay, I have this type of magic, and then my special talent is separate. But
Yes. You can.
Okay, I
yeah.
felt like everybody else was just saying what they're like.
It's okay. I mean, we're going by the fly here. A lot of this stuff probably not going to be used this session, but I need to know for next
Okay,
time.
so maybe you could apply this to everyone. I'm going to be a huge, I guess, nerd and pull from D&D. What's that name of that magic that's like it's only the like completely visual shit? Where you? No,
yeah,
there's a word for it.
No, that's literally that's illusion magic.
No, but there's like it doesn't matter. There's like a anyway.
Let the 2 GMs tell you that it's illusion.
I just made a character. It's this level 1 spell. Anyway.
Prestidigitation?
Yes, that's the one where it's
There
like,
you go.
It's
Third GM. Got
specifically
it.
defined as like only like you can like make puffs of smoke. You can do anything that can't like affect. What's prestidigitation then? All right, we'll come back to this. I just assumed we all kind of can do like harmless magic that's not too powerful.
I mean, this all seems to be going so far so good. Yes.
Okay, so my special talent is
That's a word.
it's a skill called honeypot, which is advantage on persuasion and deception towards people that are sexually oriented toward me.
Well, there you go. So there's your prestidigitation there.
Yeah, harmless sensory effect.
You instantly clean or soil an object. You chill, warm, or flavor up to 1 cubic foot of non-living material.
Oh, flavor would be really useful for the food trucks.
I assumed this was maybe the magic we all did or something,
I mean,
or just me.
I mean, if
You
you're
tell
doing that
me.
style, then I'm okay with that. I mean, the nice thing, this isn't D&D, so you can just say that's what I want, and that can be it.
All right.
I'm learning so much.
Can I have an item in my inventory?
I mean, I said you could have one.
All right. So I have a ventriloquist dummy named Endo.
I hate that.
Curious how this is going to come into play.
Maybe a charisma throw at some point. Wait, we don't have charisma here. It'd be mind at that point.
About charisma is psyche.
Mm,
Let's move on.
yeah. Psyche is what I want it to be. All right. So the first problem that you, after you set up shop, is that you go through your stock larders, and for some reason, you seem to only have about half the stock that you believe that you had stored in a hidden location the night before. So, what is your plan about this? How are you going to investigate this?
So our stock has disappeared? Like
Half of
all
your-
of us?
Yes, you've noticed that half your stock. You're going to see perplexed looks on everyone's faces as they're going through their larders, and they're just like,
Can I hear the perplexed look?
I mean,
On
you allegedly could hear a blank stare, so maybe you can hear a perplexed look as well.
It's from across the road.
So I
You
hear
me
I
saying
hear
blankly.
M's perplexed look while I'm digging through my stuff, and I wheel around and I decided to walk over. Well, hey there. You seems you're having some trouble. What's going on?
Well, you see, the thing is, some of our stock seems to be missing. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you?
Oh, not me, madam. But I promise you, we will get to the bottom of this. Doesn't that woman over there seem like she's having a problem as well?
Yes, I can hear the intense gazes going on in that cart as well.
I'm hearing a lot of strange gazes. I think something is afoot, my friends.
Are you a Southern Belle?
I'm a Northern Belle. I come from the north of this.
You're
The
from
north
a
of this
northern-
region.
Yeah.
Northern Gondola.
Yeah,
Northern
out
Gondola.
in Northern Gondola, that's kind of the backwoods sticks of this area. You know, we used to
gotcha.
enslave all the goblins. Now we don't anymore, and so it's kind of like a weird, confused culture.
Gotcha. I see it. I see it now.
So I think I try to lead them over to Gone.
Okay. And while you're walking towards there, actually, could I get the three of you all to take a quick little perception? Is probably psyche. Let's do a psyche check by the three of you.
Sure.
So we're rolling 2d6 for our rolls?
I think it's 2d6 if I'm remembering correctly.
However you want. Kate made a rule where you can just roll one die, and you just make it a straight 1 to 6 of whether we persuade it.
Let's just roll 2 and then combine against stats.
All right.
Okay, so you're going to roll those 2 dice, and then you'll add your 1 for psyche.
So I rolled a. Oh wait, am I rolling as well, or is it just those?
Just
three?
the three of them as they're walking towards your cart.
Well, I got a 5.
You got a 5
with
okay.
my
Okay.
I have a 9.
You have a 9. Okay, and you have
At 5, I guess.
a 5 as well. Okay, so you guys, the two of you who got 5s, you sort of notice like some disturbed dirt and mud near the carts, but as you're walking towards, it was gone. Nicole, gone.
Gone.
Try to add inflection to that. They didn't belong there. Anyways, however, Emily, while you're walking, you see fresh tracks in the mud leading away from Gon's cart into the woods. Little tracks, goblin tracks.
Oh no. Everyone, look, there's footprints. It looks like we've been raided by goblins. I'm surprised my protection magic didn't keep them away.
Oh, what? Does that mean they hit mine as well? And I run back to look at my cart because I haven't even looked.
So Gon, being a cynical student who's been going to wizard school for a while now and has learned just enough to know that the world sucks, just like sighs heavily and goes like, and she's immediately like, this is a corporation that's doing this to me.
I mean, a logical place to go at that. I mean, goblins raid things after all.
Mm-hmm.
They're known for raiding, if I'm remembering correctly, my ancient annals of the history of this world that doesn't have a name.
Sorry, the ancient what?
The ancient,
Right.
Yeah, that one.
yeah. The ancient, don't worry the fuck about it.
Right. Okay, writing that down.
So after seeing these footprints, these goblin footprints, seeing they lead into the dark woods that don't have the kind of monsters you'd see in a dungeon, but they do have your, usual wildlife, little goblin bands that run around, your average forest danger instead of your real dungeon stuff. So it's probably something some not so adventurous types like yourselves can probably handle.
Are these goblins capable of hurting me?
I don't know.
Okay.
Are they?
Did I find anything when I ran back to my cart?
Well, yours is also missing half its stalk.
Oh, shit. I thought I was immune from that.
Bian, do you have any sage advice for this situation based on your great knowledge
like-
of lore
is
and
this like-
tales?
All of what is happening.
Is this like one of your movies that you've watched?
Oh my gosh. Let's think of a good one with goblins.
Yeah, Brienne was like, I don't know how to pretend things. So
I
I'm like,
don't-
we'll
I
make
really
characters as close to us in person
Yes.
as possible,
As
so you can
possible.
just be yourself, but in a fantasy
So
world.
what would you do in this situation if goblins had stolen all your shit and run into a forest?
Go after them.
Well, that sounds like a
That's
good
some
start,
very
doesn't
sage
it?
advice, Bian. I think we should do that.
Bian was your name?
Yes.
I have a proposition. Someone will need to watch all of our things to make sure those goblins don't come back. Why don't the three of you go investigate? You'll be safest together in the forest. And I'll make sure no one touches our stalls.
Well, I think I should cast a protection spell on our stalls, and then we can all go into the forest together. Don't you know to never split the party? The adventurers say this. Coming
Well,
out of
up
the
in the
dungeon all
north,
the
we have a
time.
different slogan, which is always split the party. It
See,
seems.
but all the okay,
I
but
do not
okay,
mean
no,
to
no,
be
no,
rude,
hold
madam.
on, because there's the adventurers. There's like 4 of them, and then they go into the dungeon, and then they come back out, and there's like 2 of them, and they're like, "Don't split the party." This is what they tell me at the pierogi shack.
I'm just worried, madam, that your protection magic was not enough to protect these stalls in the first place.
And you're going to be?
Oh, you can trust me, honey.
So as a reference, I've dealt with this character before, whose name I definitely know, and from what I know of her slogan is to always split the party. So I'm totally fine going on without her on this adventure, because I feel like there's no way we're going to convince her to come with us.
Oh.
Well, if you're all going to make a fuss, I will come with you. Why don't... who would like to lead the way? Yes, you over there, Miss Delph.
Yeah, so
You know these lands well, do you not?
I'm already annoyed with this.
You
I
refuse
just
to move away from
stride
here.
boldly into the forest.
All right, we're doing this.
We're following.
All right.
I follow behind kind of slowly, and I go, I'll just be a minute. I have to go to the little girl's room, and I go to piss behind a rock.
Very daintily.
Mm-hmm.
Want to make you do a body check?
Me?
Yes.
All right.
Oh no. I
Is this
don't
like a
like I
stealth
don't
check?
like that we have to roll to go to the bathroom.
I don't think everyone. I'm pretty sure it's just going to be
I
Kelly.
got a 6.
You successfully managed to urinate.
All right.
I just wanted to let you know that.
Cool. I didn't pee on myself at all.
didn't pee on yourself at all.
That's because I'm a lady, sir.
Yes, well done. Well done. As you continue further into the forest, you notice something strange about the tracks. They begin to become more sparse and replaced instead by massive boot prints that look nothing like goblin tracks, in fact.
It's polymorph.
I mean, I'm not going to answer any of that.
So they
They're
walked to the
little
forest,
and
but
then
I've
they're
hidden behind the
big.
rock, right?
I mean, I expect that you finished pissing and you're continuing on your way.
Well, after I finish, I kind of want to dip back to the stalls and just see if there's any cash in their registers.
Well, you did place a protection spell on, right?
Absolutely.
Can I roll to like beat the protection spell in some way?
I mean, you can roll. Let's see. That'd probably go against willpower for protection. So roll me a psyche.
All right. That's a 7.
You fail.
Oh fuck. Okay, how do I fail? Like, what does it look like?
You know when like you've had a lot of static charged in your body and you touch a light switch and it doesn't just shock you, you see like the arc happen? That basically happens and it just like numbs your hand for a second.
No, my heavens.
That's
And
what you
I-
get for trying to steal from Pierogi Princess.
I feel like you're not there, but
That's
I
the
kinda-
voice you hear in your head when you set
Oh,
off my
shit,
trap.
that's good. I flustered. I kind of get up and dust myself off, and I like pick up my like big fluffy dress, and I just kind of like huffle into the forest, be like, "Ho, my bladder was so full, my lord. Oh, I'm catching up. Don't you worry." And I catch up to them. That's the one thing we're not shy about with all of our manners in the north is pissing. We love it.
just pissing though.
Yeah.
All right, so you continue and you're starting to notice that these heavy set boots are replacing these small goblin tracks that you saw before. And in the distance, you hear not quite whispering, but somebody who's got one of those really loud booming voices trying to whisper. So you hear
It's like a stage whisper.
yeah.
Can we hear what that sounds like?
You can actually. You can. If we just kept the tracks going longer, wouldn't it become less suspicious?
They sound like dummies. Can we just take them?
I believe in us. We must defend the Pierogi Princess.
Yeah,
Can
in
we
the end.
see the like source of any of these voices, or is it just coming down the
You're
forest?
hearing it ahead of you, basically.
All right. So what's the plan?
Does anyone have any swords or weapons or anything with which we might murder goblins?
We have some forks.
I have the ability to freeze things. So I could freeze the forks, we could shatter them, and then throw the shrapnel. I'm just spitballing here. If you got a better idea, just cut me off.
You know, perhaps this is not the time for violence, but this is rather the time for a little bit of grace and charm. Follow my lead. And I decide to kind of like sidle up ahead of them. I can sidle very quickly.
Okay.
And I want to get like well ahead of them so I'm not seen with these kind of like really kind of
This
ratty,
riff-raff.
ratty, common looking.
Wow. Wow.
Rude. And I kind of like, yeah, I want to try and catch up to the goblins. Like, do I see them if I?
I mean, as you what were you saying? You
So I sidle.
you'll sidle through the bushes.
Yeah, it's
You-
like sauntering, but a bit different.
You
I'll work with the taxonomy of those later.
It's
Yeah.
sideways.
you realize that for some reason your brain hadn't quite kicked in at this point by them being large, heavy set boots, but these aren't goblins actually, but
Mm.
instead 3 very large, goonish looking men.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we didn't even talk about goons yet.
No. So when I'm kind of like in eye shot of these goons,
Yes.
I want to start like kind of like looking around like John Travolta and
I know
whatever.
actually which
yeah.
gift you're talking about.
And I
Yes.
could that's Pulp Fiction, right? Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm
I've
looking
seen that
around
movie.
like John Travolta in Pulp Fiction, but I'm kind of like picking up my big billowy. I don't know what you call those dresses.
I
but-
called it a southern dress, but apparently you're from the north.
Yeah, it's a
so-
northern dress.
Northern.
And I'm
It's
like,
just skirts.
I'm harumping very loudly. Like I'm looking like, huh. Oh, well, I never. What treachery is this? I'm trying to like kind of like look pathetic and desperate.
That's fair. And it works. One of them notices you immediately, and you see in his hand a couple of wooden stakes that have little goblin feet imprinters put on top. And they appear to be taking off what would look like snowshoes, essentially. Things designed to spread out your weight so you don't leave an impression.
So wait, but instead of snowshoes, which is like a small person on large things, they are like large people on like small shoes.
No. They're getting out of these large spanning devices used to not put down an impression. They're holding little sticks that they use to make footprints.
Okay.
You picking up what I'm laying down now?
Yeah, no,
I feel like they
it.
just could have not left footprints at all, and that probably would have worked better for them.
Well, it'd have been too perfect.
Unless they're trying to lure us.
Unless they're trying to lure us, yes.
Or maybe their mind stat is just ridiculously low. One of the two.
Mm.
I won't tell you which, though.
So one of them noticed me.
One does.
I say, "Oh, sir, would you help a lost lady?"
I'm assuming this is your attempt to sort of do a seduction of sorts.
Well, I can only seduce people that are like sexually oriented toward me, so I can't assume that what they're into. But I'm just trying to look. I'm just trying to look helpless to start, like to see if somebody will like just kind of be patronizing.
Fair enough. Well, the one that noticed.
Far away. Is that what's
I'm
happening?
expecting that you guys are coming up quick,
Okay.
basically.
Sure.
He's just trying to. She's trying to get the drop on and try to act pathetic enough that they'll maybe.
And then we'll stab them in the back with our forks.
Or their
Plan's
little
already
peg
working.
feet.
So, wielding one of the feet peg things like a club,
Yes.
he approaches you and asks, in a loud billowing voice this time, "What do you think you're doing, young lady?"
Oh, my heavens, sir! Is this your forest?
It's the king's forest.
You have to understand. I'm not from around here. I'm from the north, and perhaps we do things a little differently. But I'm dreadfully lost. Yeah.
And if this looks like it's going very badly, which I think it is, I'm going to try and sneak around and do a fork stab.
You're gonna try to do a fork stab. All right, we're going straight for the fork stabs.
Wow. Do I notice that she's doing that?
Do you notice that? How about you roll me? Let's roll. I'm gonna keep rolling perception, but we're gonna call psych perception here. So
That's great. That's great because I have a bonus in that. So I got 9.
you got 9. So yes, you do notice Emily sneaking up with a fork stab ready to go.
Okay, so I really quickly try to jump into action before she like makes us all go tits up. So I kind of like grab the goon's hand and I'm like, please, sir, won't you help? Won't you help us, a lady in distress?
All right, and Emily, is your plan still going for the fork stab?
I'll see how the guy responds, and if it's negatively, I'll stab him, and if it looks like he's falling for this act, I'll hold off.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, you have actually stumbled across 3 gay polyamorous men
Hell yeah.
who sideline as goons in their spare time to make board, basically. You know,
Mhm.
rent isn't cheap.
But are they gentlemanly gay polyamorous goons?
This one in particular is actually very touch adverse, and so grabbing his hand was probably the worst thing you could have done there. So, with a look of utter revulsion, he yanks his hand away from you and raises the club further. And now I'm going to leave time to do actions before this all, as you so charitably put it, goes tits up.
Mhm. So he's already like lifted me?
He's just jerked your arm away. Like, he's just like, again, touch adverse. So he is not okay with the fact that you just grabbed him without permission.
Gotta
Oh,
ask for
sweet
consent
mercy.
first.
And
God.
what are your guys' plans? Nicole, Emily, Brianna?
Fork stabs.
Fork stabs. All right.
There's 3 of them and 3 of us, right?
4 of us.
Hey, you're technically outnumbering.
Yeah.
So we see some fork stabs here. Okay, so who's all attempting a fork stab? You are for sure. You are.
Mhm.
Let's get a couple body rolls going on here
I gave us such bad body stats.
then. Pray to the dice.
Because we're all geeks.
Dice.
You guys are literally going to tell me what I'm doing. So.
You rolled the
I
dice.
got a 9.
And
Wow.
Brianna's
Yeah.
roll.
What did you say?
You quit. You got the highest possible roll you could.
Okay.
Good job.
We don't have
Brienne,
time to
you
say
did
the
it.
full words, so
You
like
did it.
Sorry,
there's
guys.
all those delays in the stream. We just
So
there's no time to explain.
I'm a DM that believes in the players describing what they do based on their own role. So you said you got a 9.
Yeah.
I'd say that's a decent roll. So describe me how you're not super elegant in doing so, but you get the job done. You're down and dirty. You got the fork in one of them.
Yeah, I'm like trying to get like the back or like the back of the neck, but like I don't quite hit that. I kind of get him in like the arm flesh, and get some pretty good fork prong penetration in
Some
there.
good damage, right? Okay. And I'm gonna unfortunately have to ask you to do some narrative here for me as well. If you were to take someone out using a dinner fork in the most graceful and beautiful way possible, how would you do it?
I pluck, pop, pluck, pop.
2 eyeballs. Okay.
Yeah.
There we
Wow.
go. Just
Brutal.
gracefully, with a splash of blood and gunk, you rip out those eyes flawlessly.
Thank you for
I
describing
never
it.
knew you were this cutthroat, Brienne. Sorry, Bien.
The shrieks are extremely audible as he puts his hands to his eyes and the gore just leaks out of him. He collapses to his knees. While the man who had his arm stabbed is almost distracted from his own pain because of the sheer violence of the actions just imposed upon him. The third man, who is still in the process of dealing with I've already forgotten your character's name. I'm very bad DM here.
Angina.
Angina.
Angina
How did I forget
pectoris.
that? Dealing with Angina's horrible breach of consent. He seems utterly and totally lost. Just in shock as one of his lovers is dying on the ground from blood loss, and the other one is looking at this fork sticking out of his arm, sort of in that, like, you know, like in those movies where they have like a knife and they just like sit there for a second. They're like, oh, she doesn't. This is true. They just sort of, I got to start using book metaphors, I guess, but that doesn't really work from a visual standpoint. Fuck. Maybe a video game. Anyways,
There you go.
the sort of shock of having a foreign object sunk into you. You're sort of sitting there in shock. So what's your guys' next action? You have utterly destroyed this group of dumb goons. What is your plan, Nicole? You're coming in.
Yeah, so I'd like to run screaming out of the bush, and because I've like specified that I can freeze head-sized objects, I feel like I want to run towards specifically the guy that had previously interacted with an angina, and I stretch my hand out and I try and freeze his full head.
His full head. Okay, so I need a special roll for that then. I think this is the first time I've ever done this where we've done a special roll.
Okay. So I got a 3.
Okay, was that with 2 d6s?
No, sorry. Excuse me. I didn't
Got it.
realize I got 2 d6s.
Yes, you had 2
I got a 9.
You got a 9. Well, that's a lot better than 3. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, yeah.
Almost.
Okay.
But yes. So, you manage not to quite freeze it solid, but you've done this kind of like two-face thing where you've gotten the one half of his face and it's like severely frostbitten now, like that kind of frostbite where stuff's peeling and cracking like immediately. And now he's on the ground. You have destroyed this group of goons. They are at your mercy.
I hope they were actually guilty of something.
Yeah, right.
So the one that I grabbed, like he dropped me in shock.
He didn't drop you. You grabbed him and like we're like, oh my goodness, and he just went fuck, kind of basically like what are you doing?
Right.
Yes.
But like, so
and then Nicole froze half his face.
So
As one
they
does.
stabbed the other two.
Yes,
And she froze the one that is holding me. So like
was not holding you.
right. So I can get up, right?
Yes, you can get up.
Wait, do I kind of fall onto him though?
I would say more just it's like when someone yanks your hand out, you could stand there or you could fall over and
I kind of want to fall onto him. So when I'm getting up and like, oh, sorry, sir, I do apologize. I want to like quickly go through his pockets. Like,
Okay, well, that's definitely a body check. If you're going to try to pickpocket someone while they're writhing in pain from being frostbitten from half their face being frozen.
Yeah, so he's distracted, right? I got a 7.
A 7. You don't find anything of note, just a small pouch with like a couple copper pieces in
Yeah, I take it.
it. Perfect.
I got bills to pay. Like,
So did you guys steal our stuff?
Yeah.
Which one are you going to talk to? Because one's still screaming because their eyes are gone.
Yeah.
In general.
did you say that one is bleeding to death?
He got his eyes gouged out.
Yeah,
See,
but-
I didn't think we were gonna jump straight to murder, but who knew? Bien had it in her.
Bien
We're
was
gonna see what
going with
happens.
vengeance here.
Yeah.
The one who only has a fork sticking out of his arm seems to now be the most compliant. Side note, torture doesn't work. Don't do this.
Depends what you're trying to do.
He goes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
the
we
goal's
we
turning
did,
on,
but
Sorry.
it's not our fault. We had to.
You had to explain.
Well, you see, rent recently went up in the city, and we had to take a side job that we wouldn't have normally taken from
Misdoubt is back.
I don't know if you've heard about the Mega Sugar Corporation. So I'll get you all to roll just a mind check for that one to see if you've heard of the Mega Sugar Corporation.
Is mine psyche
It's
or
Understanding,
Yeah.
sorry, yeah.
So if I roll that, but I'm -1, like because it's a critical success.
It's still a critical success.
All right.
so-
Well, I critically succeed.
Okay, and
I got a 6.
6.
11.
11, and Nicole
6.
6. So the people who've gotten 6, you've heard of them before. Like you might have bought something that they produce, and you're like, oh yeah, the Mega Sugar Corporation. Okay, cool. The 11, you basically know that they are a giant multinational conglomerate of food service companies that have sort of combined underneath one head to sort of make sure that they have a diverse set of holdings and can break down any kind of competition. And Kelly, because you crit, you actually remember the name of their CEO, Sir Humphrey Bellegarde.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that he is a notoriously bad dude who is against unions, against paid breaks, and he exploits his workers to work 16 out of the 20 hours that happen in this world.
I know this is fantasy, Josh, but can you stay within the realm of plausibility? Like,
Just be glad I didn't call him Hef Bezos.
yeah, we love like really creative names in this game.
Yes,
so.
I've noticed. I've noticed. So it's not that you know who the Mega Sugar Corporation is. You know this is bad news. If they've started taking action against a small stand such as yourself, they must have plans for this region.
And you said it was a bad dude?
He's a bad dude.
Like bad enough, like a bad enough dude to rescue the president? Or
Thank you.
I only have one question, and it's can I stab him with a fork?
Sir Humphrey?
he's not
I mean,
here.
in theory, like if you ever met him, you could probably stab him with a fork.
You can stab anyone with a fork if you're motivated enough. Like,
I'm learning that right now, live.
You all heard that. Everyone that's watching this heard that, right? Motivational speakers. Go on.
Yeah, welcome to my TED Talk, how to stab anyone with a fork.
Yeah. Step
that
one,
is the
motivated
official stance
enough.
of this show. Is if
Can that be the episode title?
if you can dream it, you can achieve it.
We just want to be super encouraging to all of our viewers. Absolutely. Okay, so where'd we find this Humphrey, not Bezos guy?
That should have been his last name. Damn. Well, we might change the canon at some point. Well, he is in the capital city, so you're not meeting him anytime soon. However,
Also, you guys don't know that. Only I know that.
yeah, you didn't actually say anything about it.
Oh.
I ain't saying shit.
Oh, look at this. Secretive.
Look who's a team player.
But yes, by virtue of just knowing that the Mega Sugar Corporation is massive, you know that there's bad stuff coming this way.
I'm gonna stab them all with forks.
All right. Well, I think this is at the point where they're under your mercy. So, the fellow GM here, the producer offhand, would we be able to call this a coup de grace moment? Absolutely, a coup de grace moment. How do you finish off these guys?
Do we actually want to murder them?
You said it, not me. I'm just the DM. I'm here to facilitate murder.
You're the
I want to
GM, the
stab
game
the
moron.
Sugar Corp guys.
Oh, I mean,
Because they're the source of this.
you can also do that.
These guys are just victims of capitalism.
And stab
forks.
And forks.
As we all are.
And the elf's freezing power.
and don't
And
forget
Northern Charm?
and don't forget the unfortunately artificial scarcity of the housing market in the main cities.
Yes, indeed.
They're just victims. Like, you people are bad people.
Yeah, so I, as somebody who has not stabbed anyone, I after tucking my coppers into my pocket, I say, stealing is wrong no matter why you do it, and there are resources in this city. There's a local community support initiative, and if you get in contact with them, I know they'll give you some money. But these folks, they're dangerous, they're violent. And I motion at these two and at Gondelf, and I'm like, I'm gonna go get the authorities to arrest these murderers, and then I fuck off. Like I bolt.
Peace.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I think I mentioned earlier that I know this person is planning to split the party, so I kind of saw this coming. But I kind of roll my eyes and I go, okay, well, what do you guys want to do next?
Do we want to get the eyeball dude to not bleed out and die?
Yeah, like
Bien?
can Nicole maybe like freeze his face or something? So he's
Oh
not
yeah,
bleeding?
can he freeze his eyeballs shut? Give him ice balls.
I can do that. I do that. I kind of like draw my powers in a little bit and I try to do that. Do I roll for that?
You would roll your special. Yep. This is where we get a chance for hijinks, and I always pray for hijinks.
Quick question. I know everyone else definitely, or I know, Kelly and I for sure who have played this before definitely know this, but for everyone else, how did we roll for our special? Was that...
Could you give yourself a special stat, Nicole?
Did
you read the thing in the game chat where I said we're gonna fill 4 stats instead of 3?
I did see that. I didn't do anything about it. What was I supposed to do to fill my special thing?
You just add 1 more total to your stats. So if you just make your special 0, it'll work out.
Cool. Yeah, I definitely did that. That's exactly what I did.
It's like we're so on the same page. You're always a step ahead of us, and it's like we don't even have to talk about these things. It's just like, wow, I already did it.
Yeah, always. Okay,
This
so
is
I got
why we can't replace Nicole, and we were definitely not talking about replacing Nicole before she came on the stream.
I got a 7.
You got a 7. Okay, so it's gonna be a little messy. You succeed. You get both the eyes, which is great. But you got his nose too, so he's gonna lose that at some point, but not yet. It's just frozen. It's just
Who even needs your nose? Like, if you're gonna lose a sense, your nose is probably the least important one.
Yeah,
so
it just affects taste. It's no big deal.
I might have a solution.
Oh,
can I chip the ice off his nose with a fork?
We'll do a body check for that. I'll allow this.
Pray for me. That's a solid 4.
Well,
4?
you know how I talked about that wasn't going to come off soon?
Oh no.
Well, I lied.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I tried.
So, how do you take this man's nose off with a fork? Let's hear this in loving detail.
I think I really carefully line up the fork, and I'm like, hold on, I'm just gonna chip this itis off. I'll be really gentle, and then I just slip and stab super hard, and his nose just falls off in one singular chunk.
Impressive. I'm quite impressed.
So I think Gone, being a student who's like played many like bar question games where you know where you go and like you kind of have like a few drinks and you talk about like, you know, what would you rather? Like Gone has definitely answered the question of like, would you rather lose your sense of eyesight or your sense of smell? And like they've like already ranked your sense of smell. So I'm gonna go ahead and like use all those arguments to try and convince Em that she's like what she's done isn't that bad, or what we've done, I should say, isn't that bad.
Yeah, this is a team here.
Yeah, you know, it's better
he
than
didn't
like.
have to choose between his eyesight and his nose. He got to lose both of them.
Yes, there was no choice to be had.
Did he? Oh, I thought these were two different people.
No,
No.
you definitely.
Oh, yes, of course, right. That was why I was freezing them in the first place. Well, you know, it's better than losing his sense of hearing.
At least he's got that going for him.
Yeah,
There's
it's
three
good to
games
be
though,
able
right?
to
Yeah.
hear
So,
things coming
one
and
of them was-
taste things
One got
coming.
one in the arm,
And one got his eyes ripped out.
and his nose broken off now.
Oh, but the one who pulled me down was one with the frozen face,
The
right?
frozen half face, yeah.
Right, yeah, okay.
Oh,
Well,
wait.
you know,
okay, yeah. No, we're good.
I read a book once about someone who lost their eyesight and their sense of smell, and they were totally fine. So I think this guy can make it. You know, I think he's going to be better for it because he's going to discover that his other senses are much more acute, and he's going to be able to tell a unique story that no one has ever had before. He's going to be able to overcome these difficulties.
He's basically Daredevil now.
Yeah.
This is someone's
Daredevil
origin
is
story
Daredevil
right
couldn't
here.
smell.
How do
If
you
you-
feel to be the villain in the superhero's origin story?
If you fucked up his ears, though, imagine how good he would taste shit. It would just be like, oh my god.
That's a good point. Do we want to do that before we go?
No,
No? No takers?
Deanna, are you still
Okay.
up for blood?
I know. We fixed as best as we could, right?
Oh yeah, did we get our stuff back?
He the one that only has his fork in his arm, who is somehow the one who's least damaged and traumatized out of all of this, has a shaking hand and points towards bushes that are behind them,
Mhm.
saying, "That's where your stuff is. Just take it and leave us alone."
Okay, so I dive for the bushes. I'm going for it.
And unfortunately, as you part the bushes, you see what appear to be actual goblin tracks this time.
Oh,
No!
We have to get our forks back from the injured men so that we have something to fight with.
Man, all of our proggy materials are going to go rancid.
We still have half.
That said, you also see on the ground, as well, Gon does, as they scramble around looking for their stuff, they find a note written in messy but still legible handwriting. And all it says is, "We have a preposition for you if you meet us at the cave 6 paces south and 10 paces west."
So Gon, who has just gone to school, says, does that say preposition or proposition?
They're goblins, Nicole.
That's a very
Right.
large word for a tiny goblin.
Okay. So yeah, I guess I start hiking into the bush. I don't know where I'm going. I'm just gonna
You're
gonna start
wandering.
hiking.
It's not like there was directions on where to go or anything like that.
Follow the
Well, I
directions.
see that there's directions, but I've just been in university for a year. What do I know about bushcraft?
Well, I think that as you guys wander into the woods, apparently lost because you don't know what south and west are,
We're not adventurers. We don't have those skills.
I think that's where we'll hold off for the next adventure right there.
And this is where we drop the kick-ass act break music, right?
Yes.
Nicole, do you want to hum that one?
Yeah. Ba-na, ba-na-na-na.
Production values are so high.
Nailed it.
Mhm.
No feedback,
The whole
please.
song,
Remind
come
me of
on,
that.
it's like the whole 30-second sting.
Oh no, I just did the quick version.
Oh, okay, that's fair. We are short on time, so why don't we get well, first let's thank Josh for jamming. Josh, do you want to plug anything? Do you want to shout anything out?
I don't really have anything to plug in particular, except that in November, a lot of people start doing extra live streams to raise money for various charities. Sometimes I do those. We raise usually for the Children's Hospital, Stollery Children's Hospital here in Edmonton. So I don't think there's anything for me specifically plug this time, but at some point I might just drop a little shill thing in the server itself. So if you guys join the Born Under Punches Discord server, at some point I might drop a link there where you'll be able to donate to Extra Life to help the Stollery Children's Hospital.
Cool.
That's great. And then David is doing this for free, which means we can't even pay him in plugs, so he cannot plug anything. So we'll move on. David, do you want to plug your charity thing for Friday?
Yeah, I would love to, Kelly.
Do you need to come get on the mic?
Yes.
I'll let you have my mic because I am magnanimous as well.
Hey everyone, it's David, super producer over here. Just a quick reminder that I do this for free. And also Pe Metawe Games, led by our wonderful community engagement person, Abraham Wu, is going to be running a 24-hour D&D stream. That will definitely be D&D for a full 24 hours. So if you need a palate cleanser from whatever hybrid monster RPG Kelly's created here, you can definitely join that. We are looking for players. We're looking for GMs, but mostly we're looking for donations for the Crystal Kids Youth Drop-In Center on Alberta Avenue. So you can find all the details on Pe Metawe Games on Facebook. And yeah, we'd love to have more people watching and some donations.
Thanks for everything you do, David. You're wonderful.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Can we
I
play
don't care
guest
what anyone
characters
else
in
says. You're fantastic.
Yeah, I don't care what Kelly said underneath his breath as I entered the store.
David, can we play guest characters in this D&D stream?
Yes.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, so check that out then. Now I'm in favor of it. You two, do you want to promote your new spin-offs to your podcast?
Maybe not the spin-offs, but you can find us at emilymissedout.com. We have a few more episodes coming out, and if you're bored, we have over 60 already there. So check it out.
Yeah. Buy my book a year from now.
There you go.
No, it's with an Y, not an IE.
Emily spelled normally. You spelled it the pervert way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what
There
I
we
said.
go. That's the one.
Awesome.
Cool. Neat.
Well, Nicole, with your permission, maybe we should cap off the show with a piece of movie trivia.
Yeah, let's do it. What do you got?
Emily, have you seen any Star Trek movies?
Nope.
Well, that's fine. This is now Emily misses out. And this is a fun fact from the filming of, I believe it was Star Trek Nemesis. It was the last one of the Next Generation movies. You know, they're all
That sounds
getting...
right.
What's that?
I was like, that sounds right.
Yeah. So they're all getting a bit older, and, you know, they start to get health problems. And Michael Dorn, who plays Worf, for those who don't know, he was having a lot of, like, stomach problems, right? He was getting, like, acid buildup or acid reflux, and getting, like, lesions in there. And he had a really hard time filming. They had to delay it, but then he, like, got healthier again, and he was like, we can get back to filming. I found, like, a good calisthenics program, and, yeah, just, like, little exercises that actually helped with my gastro shit. And so he was talking to like Entertainment Weekly or someone after, and they were like, yeah, so we heard you had all these stomach problems, like how did you fix them? And he said sit-ups. And they were like, wait, like, are you for real? That doesn't seem like it would work. And he said, no, like, I swear it's a real thing. I'm actually going to start selling it as a series of workout tapes called Dorn Ulcer Crunches. Yeah, thanks for coming aboard Under Punches. And David, do you want to play that?
What?